time we talked was when Pushkar wanted to come on the podcast, and I had asked him that it's a paid guest thing, and he was like, "No, I'm not willing to pay for the podcast." But I
Yeah.
tried. I was like, "Let's take a punt. Let's see if he's willing to pay that."
A game for the Euro 2024 and sign up with your friends, play in the tournaments. It has a mega prize pool of I cannot reveal.
Sorry,
Hello
for the
and
pause.
welcome everyone to episode number 82 at the Indie Football Podcast. And of course, we have had 81 previous episodes, but and I keep saying this for all the previous listeners who might say that this is the same way that he keeps opening all his episodes. But today we truly have a special person because he is responsible, and I will put it out blatantly, for a specific long-term sponsorship project that Indie Football Podcast was able to do over the last 8 to 9 months. We have with us Pushkar Parmar. Hi, Pushkar. How are you feeling tonight?
Yes, I know where that question comes from. Thank you for having me,
Yes.
firstly, Anukarsh and Dwight. So, we are recording this episode right after the qualifier two of IPL. I don't know how many of you watch cricket, and Dwight jinxed the team I support and they lost. So, yeah,
I think
I'm not feeling the best, but yeah, we have two stars, another star right next to this one.
yeah.
So, yeah, feeling amazing this season. We've had a great season, and yeah.
Yeah, Anukar sir, please tell our viewers about the love relationship that you have with Pushkar, which has gone on for almost a year now, and all the great things that you have been able to facilitate in the podcast through Pushkar. So I think we can revisit this journey of 7 8 months in the next
You
couple of
know,
minutes, whatever you want to say.
You know, I actually, the reason I've been smiling for the past 2 minutes is I am thinking which anecdote to start with first, because there
Yeah,
have been so many with UC over the last few months. But since you guys mentioned about the Rajasthan Royals one, I just want to say to any future sponsors which come on the Indie Football Podcast that that's not how we treat people when the sponsorship deal ends कि हम उनकी टीम को jinx करें. Honestly, I think
oh my God. You
jokes
know the
apart.
place, the place that I work in keep telling me about all the Bengali kala jadoo that I can do, but okay, we will
Yeah,
not go
you,
further into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
not to be specifically
Yes.
targeting a group, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely did something.
Of
We
course.
know for one thing, viewers, that after this podcast, we definitely are getting a renewal. So yeah, that's. But yeah, uh,
Absolutely. I
on a
love the kind
serious.
of subtle pressure you have put on Pushkar now,
Yeah,
So,
नहीं नहीं
so
नहीं नहीं
the
नहीं.
next
But on a
40 minutes, the next 40 minutes, he will be like, whatever I say has to translate into some kind of a monetary transaction somewhere else.
नहीं,
So
but on a serious note, I think the journey with Pushkar has been incredible. I think the first time we talked was when Pushkar wanted to come on the podcast, and I had asked him that it's a paid guest thing, and he was like, "No, I'm not willing to pay for the podcast." But I
yeah,
tried. I was like, "Let's take a punt. Let's see if he's willing to pay that." And that time I was on a vacation actually, so I was like, "Okay, what words will come out of it?" And we had a really good talk, and I think thankfully Pushkar was kind enough to help us, facilitate us with our deal with Ultimate Champions. I think more than the partnership, it has been fun times talking to Pushkar, into telling him about every new thing that's coming on the podcast. At times, he has personally also taken interest, asking if what he can do, if he can work as a consultant, and he has like done some incredible things for us, advising us, being there for us. So, welcome
yeah,
to the show, Pushkar. I think jokes apart, I we really appreciate whatever you have done and the person
yeah.
you are beyond the professional field. So yeah, welcome to the show. Your club's doing great. You have won the Serie A. So, how does it feel as an Inter fan, first of all? And
Yeah.
do give us a bit of an insight into your journey as an Inter supporter all these years.
Yeah, so thank you so much again for having me on the show. And I've definitely had some great times and discussions with you guys while we work together and otherwise as well.
Yeah.
When you were roaming on the streets of Delhi and I saw your stories, yeah, that was fun to watch. I was not a part of it, but yeah, that was a fun thing.
Oh,
So, coming
yeah.
to Enter, I personally feel like, and I think that has been the feeling across the fan bases and fan clubs that I am a part of, is that we expected the title this season after the start we had, and we saw teams fumbling over, and how Napoli had been after 15 odd games. So we did expect the title. What we were expecting with it was another deep run into Europe, but realistically, we knew that a title and maybe the Coppa Italia, the cup next to it, would be like an added bonus. But title was more or less expected, looking at how the team was playing and how good Inzaghi has come of age after a couple of seasons. So yeah, that was super good. We were celebrating the title, and that's around about when we got to know about the change in ownership of Inter as well, which I don't
Yes,
know if you guys are aware or not. So you don't usually know with new owners what they plan to do, or if you're
correct.
getting any more trophies next season or good performances. So yeah, we do tend to celebrate our titles very wholeheartedly, and we love to do it. Getting the second star before our city rivals was a big win. So that's what makes the title special. When I got into supporting Inter was the season when they won the Champions League with Jose Mourinho. So yeah, we were like European champions and then Club World
Right.
Cup champions when I started supporting the club. It has been a very long time waiting for that first title, which came during the COVID era for me personally, because when I started supporting, it was expected for Inter. We were a very strong side back then, although not in Europe, but at least in Italy. So yeah, last 2, 3, 4 years, how competitive we have been, the system that we have been playing, exciting football, excellent transfer windows without spending a lot of money, considering the pressure we had in terms of ownership wanting us to produce specific financial numbers. It has been an incredible run. And yeah, no matter how hard it was post COVID under our past owners, we all are thankful that they brought Inter back to, and in a very good way, they brought Inter back to where they belong, uh,
Yeah.
competitive in Europe and top of the table in Italy.
I think,
How do you take
sorry
it?
to
Yeah,
interrupt you here,
please.
Doi, but I just felt that when Pushkar said that, comparative, I think he was about to say back on their fucking perch, but he was like, because he was just being nice. He just smiled and he was like, "It's comparative." But yeah, again, yeah, matlab, I think Inter has done a great job this season
Yeah.
because, I mean, with Napoli, how they were just ramming teams apart last season, I think it's
Yes.
incredible with that budget how they have come across, though, isn't it? Like,
Uh,
huh,
yeah, like I thought the question was for Dwight, but yeah,
No.
they have done excellently, and also kudos to Napoli, considering how they played last season was like unexpected and crazy. I was
Yeah.
expecting the title more last season, considering uh, how close we came when Milan won their 19th. So like I was expecting it last season, but yeah, Napoli. What
Yeah.
can we say? They had a crazy good season, but not to forget, we made the Champions League final as well,
yeah.
and we lost it on a very close day, which was like putting out one of the best performances that we have in Europe for a while. Yeah, we did beat Liverpool in Anfield
Course,
as well
of
last year.
course.
Yeah.
Had you not mentioned that, I would have made it a point to mention it once. But I mean,
Yeah.
just to get deeper into the
Sapan bache.
style. Yeah, of course. You know, just to get deeper into the style of Italian football. For me personally, it hasn't been long since I've followed football. It's only probably been 5 years since I've done it, just before the COVID era. Uh, and I've had many discussions with people around me, football enthusiasts, people who appreciate the tactical nouns of the game. So they do define a lot of Italian football as defensive football, which is also, appreciated by the purists of the game. But at the same time, when you speak of Premier League, when you talk about Premier League as the, Europe's or even the world's most prolific league because of its high goal scoring tenacities, Italian football, what I feel, is sometimes perceived as the test format of
Hmm.
cricket, where it is very attritional, it is very, but I
Right.
mean, with all due respect, because test cricket has its own niche, and defensive form of football has its own niche. It requires someone to really sit down for 90 minutes, watch formations, watch the defensive formations getting into central defensive formations, or vice versa, whatever. But do you feel like the reason, especially in India, the reason people are not such huge Italian football fans is because of the style of play, and not because of their quick counter attacking 10 tendencies? Or do you think it's just people just, what do you think about this entire thing?
Yeah, that's a very good question to begin with,
Yeah,
because I don't see a lot of young people like falling for, let's say, okay, I'm going to support Milan or I'm going to support
yeah,
Inter, this and
Hmm.
that. If you leave Juventus out because of
Ronaldo.
the
Yeah,
fact that they
Ronaldo, yeah.
hosted Ronaldo for a couple of seasons, the thing with Italian football is it caters to a different audience. I
yeah,
won't say
Right.
it's defensive. I won't say it's slow. It's just a lot more tactical. You're not
Hmm.
sitting down and looking for gaps all the time. It's not
yeah,
T20 cricket. It's just
absolutely.
that it's a different brand of football. It's more classy. There's more things going on at once. And I don't know if you guys have, or all of our viewers have watched any Italian teams play recently, but I can suggest a couple. One of them will, of course, be Inter. The next one being Atalanta, who play a very
I know
exciting brand of football.
Of
who
course.
beat Liverpool, knocked
Yeah,
Liverpool
he
out.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, two Nerazzurri teams getting better of Liverpool back to back in 2 seasons. So
Pushkar is not leaving it. Pushkar is on his game tonight. He's like not leaving us every
yeah,
single
same
moment.
colors, huh?
Yeah.
Same colors.
I'll be
But
honest. I'll be
yeah,
honest. 82 episodes, but hardly anyone has taken so many digs at Anukar's Liverpool in the opening 12 minutes.
Why do I
I don't
remember
remember.
though that Liverpool beat Inter when we played in the
yeah, away.
quarter-final clash away,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we won on aggregate, isn't it?
yeah. You won 2-0 at the
Yeah.
Giuseppe Meazza, and we won
yeah.
at
Yeah.
Anfield. So we both
1-0.
won away. But
Yes.
I think we did end one of your longest unbeaten runs at home.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but
Yeah.
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Lautaro scored in that match, right? I think
yeah, and
one
it,
really
it
good
was
goal.
a crazy goal that curled
Yeah.
in from outside the box or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, I was very happy. Like I knew we were not equipped to get past Liverpool, but I
Right.
also knew that there was this slight chance, like when Punjab plays CSK, you know they
Yeah.
have some tricky things up their sleeves. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
just a reference for the cricket fans out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back to Dwight's question, for in terms of Italian football not having a lot of young fans, I won't say fans, because there are a lot of people who support at least the top four Italian teams, but not having a lot of young fans, I'll blame that on more on broadcasters rather
Hmm.
than go after the style of play in Italy, because it is exciting.
Yeah.
I do enjoy watching some of the Italian teams more than, let's say, I'll sit down and watch United play, or I'll sit down and watch PSG play, because there's it is like art. You can see what's happening very well. It's well orchestrated when it does well, of course. And when they bring it to Europe, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I see Italian teams doing a lot better over the past few years. That's the reason we have an extra UCL slot and Premier League doesn't.
It
And
doesn't.
same
Yeah.
for
Because
Bundesliga. They
Premier
have
League
next
has
spot.
competition, maybe Premier League has competition within the
No,
league
it's
itself.
based
I
on the UEFA coefficient, right? How
Yeah,
good the teams does. So we
I'm
have
loving
Bologna, who I'm assuming a few seasons ago was in
yeah,
the second division, going to the Champions League. I
it.
don't think you can say the same about any Premier League clubs. You can about, I think, Aston Villa. This season they've done really well, but they are hard to pick in the Premier League. You
yeah.
know who's winning. At least you know who's winning, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
Since the
yeah.
past 4 seasons, and it's not a red team. So
Yeah.
I was just thinking,
What
no
can
way.
we say?
I was just thinking, no way Pushkar can get a UC deal with any of the Premier League clubs, man. He just hates them.
we already no
They
no no
have one with Arsenal, no?
that's
They have one with Arsenal, no?
yeah, we have Arsenal and we love
But
Arsenal. Of
uh,
course, it's about the nature of football and not
Yeah, yeah,
about
of course.
the
yeah,
clubs, right?
Absolutely.
Because we have so amazing fan bases.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
if you look at how big a fan base United has
yeah,
across the world, or let's say Arsenal has a massive fan base. So does Liverpool. So I know more Liverpool fans than I know Inter fans, and
yeah,
that's a fact. They've made their place as a team that people want to support, want to be associated with. Same you can say for Real Madrid, Barcelona, which is also one of the UC partners. So yeah, it's like what where do you stand in terms of building your brand, which the Italians clubs have started doing. You can see the changed logo. Fuck,
yeah.
it's the
Of
inverted
course.
screen. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can see the changed logo. It was not the same when we won our last Scudetto. So yeah, I don't hate Premier League clubs, but I
No,
also wish people, especially the younger Indian audience, should go out and watch football from across the world. That's how you're going to fall in love with the game. Just
yeah.
you just can't sit and be like, okay, this is the best league in the world, I'm going to watch this. You can look at diehard cricket fans, they watch Big Bash and whatnot. They don't
yeah,
settle for IPL. Like
You know,
look at,
die hard,
yeah, I'll
you know,
support a
die hard
pink team
cricket
in
fans.
every league.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Die hard cricket fans are happy USA defeated Bangladesh in a T20 series. So,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's up.
But one thing which Pushkar said, which really resonated with me, is that the broadcasting has really let the Serie A down. Because I
Yeah,
remember back when I was growing up, we had this program called Sports Center, which used to come on ESPN.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, and I remember it used to show the Serie A in another light altogether. It used to show the major matches, the highlights of the major matches. That time it wasn't that accessible. That it used to be 8 to 8:30 and 8:30 to 9 show. It used to come on ESPN, and I remember the way they used to show it. I remember El Sharabi used to be a scorer in one of the seasons, and they used to show the highest scorer. So people got more interested. And then there was the show which was. Like, of course, we are less towards watching TV right now, but there was a Serie A show talking about players like Rossi, and the incredible legacy that they have. I don't think there are a lot of those programs anymore, at least in India, that
yeah,
are very popular. And I think that really matters, because like back in I think 2007 8, AC Milan was AC Milan, even Inter for that matter, were two major teams. And if you look at it, players like Coutinho, even Brozovic, Kovacic, they have played for the likes of
yeah,
Inter. Inter have always had a really good team. I think Inter and AC Milan for that matter. So I think also with, and Inter hasn't done really bad all over the years. It's just I think the investment has lagged
yeah,
as compared to some other clubs, and maybe the scouting also for that matter. But I think the Serie A is an incredible league, like jokes and everything apart, because honestly, like the history that Milan has, the history that Inter Milan has, I think 10, 15 years back, they were seen in a different light altogether. Don't you think?
yeah.
So,
Absolutely, I do agree with you, and you can't really blame the broadcasters. Like we can't do that because people don't want to watch these games, right?
yeah,
When Ronaldo moved back to United from Juventus, I'm assuming that putting it in the right
Huh.
chronology. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he moved back to United, we did not know if someone was broadcasting. I think that was the year till the final day of
Hmm.
like the summer break, and the next day the season was starting. What Geo Cinema has really done, and I would like to put it out there, is they've brought all the leagues in under one umbrella. So if you have
Yeah.
opened it to watch football and you're like, okay, I don't see any big games, but here's Roma playing Lazio, and let's see what the capital derby is like. And then they see what the fans are what crazy stuff the fans are doing in the stands. I think that's how fans are made. And
Hmm.
that's something that GeoCinema has done really well. And I hope more people tend to follow not only Italian football, but also the Bundesliga, the German Bundesliga, outside of
Yeah,
Bayern and Borussia Dortmund. And look at Leverkusen, man, also
yeah,
one
man.
of the UC
What a
clubs, of
story.
course.
Yeah. Also one of the UC. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
What a crazy story! Like, Grant Xhaka moves to Leverkusen from Arsenal. Ah,
Do you think UC has a hand in that? In Xabi Alonso doing so well this season?
Definitely.
no. We have the cards, but yeah, maybe we are the luck factor. But yeah,
Uh,
we can't give tips to a legend, right?
you know,
So yeah,
Yeah.
you see has a luck factor, because we have
yeah,
seen Sheffield United was a part of UC when they got promoted. Same for Toulouse, and
Hmm.
in the French second division. Then Arsenal has done really well since we signed them. Like, second is not bad.
yeah. Sheffield,
And
Yeah.
I do remember. So when I was in the UK as part of my international study trip
yeah,
last year, of course our college had promised us a Premier League match. So we had gone to see Sheffield United versus West Ham in the London Stadium, which is West Ham's
yeah,
adopted home. But interestingly, and I keep saying this to everyone, Anukash can almost probably repeat the story word by word by now. It
Yes.
was
Yes.
it was the match after Newcastle defeated them 8-0. And over there what I saw, so since it was West Ham's home game, and I could really, we had made a note to, get to the stadium as early as possible. So the around the London stadium, it's like a huge shopping complex, and then you keep walking, and at the end of the place is the London stadium. The entire shopping complex, which is still like a good kilometer and a half in terms of walking distance away from the stadium, you could only see West Ham fans, all hammered jerseys. That's it. No one. And you know what I did, and of course I think that's why running a podcast with Anukash becomes easier. I don't mind going up to people and striking
yeah,
conversations. I went up to a guy and I said, so I see, of course, you were wearing a West Ham jersey. This is something that I think Anukash does not know. So a fresh, like a breath of fresh air for him. So he mentioned, he the first thing that when I mentioned, ki, of course you are supporting West Ham, what do you think about the game? And he was like, the first thing that he said was, I hope you are not a Sheffield fan. And I'm like, no, no, of course I'm not. Since that day, since that day, I used to wonder, what if I told him that, yes, we are Sheffield and I think we're going to give you a good fight. He would probably give me a slam over there. But this entire Sheffield United. What is also interesting, that I was able to get a Europa Conference League victory.
भाई
West Ham
सॉरी
League,
टू इंटरप्ट यू है तो इंश्योरेंस का पैसा आईएफपी में डाल देते हैं मतलब आई एम जस्ट सेइंग
of course. so, so of course, I mean, what and of course, what Anukash just mentioned, broadcast. I had also read a book on Indian football by Gaurav Gala and Neil Shah. So Gaurav Gala is someone who handles broadcast for the ISL ever since it had begun in 2014. And once when I met him when I was in my masters in Mumbai, he mentioned the importance of broadcast bringing some important, relevant information to turn non-football fans into football fans. And I think even and of course I'm sure UC does some of that. Being a Web3 platform, people just fear what they don't understand, and that's also what I realized when we were trying to think about the deliverables around UC and how we could understand it. And just for the viewers, just to get better context, Pushkar was able to get us a deal just by selling through our online assets, which mainly involved having UC logos around what we did. But which is also why sometimes sponsorships kind of so okay, Pushkar, now we know your role around Ultimate Champions. How do you think, how have you enjoyed your role so far, and what is the most interesting or even the most challenging aspect of your job so far?
Yeah, so when Ultimate Champions, let's put it out there for people who don't know. So
Yeah.
Ultimate Champions is a fantasy football and basketball game where you
Yeah.
can build your teams. It's based on Web3, which you should not be scared of. You can just play the fantasy side of it, not worry about it. And it has excellent looking cards on the
Yeah.
game. You can build your lineups, compete in tournaments, and if you wish, you can buy cards on the marketplace, buy packs. A lot like the games that you have played in the past. The only difference being it's based on a technology that is much better and is more secure comparatively.
Yeah.
So we have partners in Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen, the Bundesliga champions. We have got FC Barcelona, Wolfsburg, and a lot of clubs across Europe. So, and in basketball, we have got all the major clubs that play in the Euro League and Euro Cup, which is like the Champions League and Europa League of basketball.
Okay.
So coming back to my role, so it has been 2 years since I've been working with Onagi, the studio that developed Ultimate Champions. So I was between jobs back then. Earlier, I was working for an educational institute, helping them in a few projects here and there with my content skills and everything around it. And then I wanted a break. I took a break. I thought that I won't be working for the next 6 months. I had enough savings, and in less than a month, Onagi came knocking around. I went through my rounds of interviews. I was still in college back then. Did not end
Oh,
up finishing college because I dropped out
oh,
once before that, and now I'm still
acha,
struggling to
oh,
complete my second degree, which is technically my first degree. So I still
ah,
don't have a degree technically, but yeah, they approached me to be a community manager, look after the social media, help on Discord, and overall just help with the community. And it was too big for me to be true. So I went through my rounds of interview. I knew I had been hired, but I did not really believe that I had been hired. So
hmm.
because like
That's quite a roller
you
coaster of emotions, I feel.
Yeah,
yeah,
actually, I had no
because
idea about it, huh?
yeah,
It's
I
pretty cool.
had been working for 4 years here and there. So I dropped out of college when I was 18 and a half, and I started working as a content writer. I skipped through jobs, worked with a lot of clients in India and
Ah,
abroad. And eventually, when I reached somewhere I wanted to, I always wanted to work in sports. I've played a lot of sports here and there, captained teams to as far as state level championships. And that's
Which sport? The
when
football. Football
no,
state
no, not
championship.
football. Football, I was sub, and I was
Yeah.
never put on.
I
I
I was never good enough to get into the subs. So you are at least one step
I'll
ahead.
I
mention
was
one thing
part of
though. I just mention one thing though. Today we had a meeting with Aditi Chauhan, India's
Yeah.
goalkeeper, and if you saw my story, I mentioned it here that I wanted to mention it to her how once in my school life we lost a match 10-0, but I pulled off an incredible save, which I wanted to tell her about.
yeah, I actually have a super football story of how I got selected in the school team. But yeah,
Please, this is
Yeah,
the
please,
stage.
please,
This is
please.
the
Yeah,
platform.
this is
yeah.
these
Yeah.
are the
So
conversations which drive the podcast.
Yeah.
like we
Absolutely.
used to play football during the breaks. So it was class 9 and class 10. I was in class 10 playing with kids a year
And
younger, but they
sorry
were
to
better.
interrupt. Which city? Which school?
It's Nagpur and Center Point School,
Nagpur.
Vardhaman
All right.
Nagar. Yeah,
Okay.
Nagpur
All
is
right.
in Maharashtra,
Yes,
further.
Huh,
of
that
course.
Yeah,
obviously we
We
big
know
know that
city
you are
people
from Nagpur.
who
I
don't
thought,
who don't really
yeah,
know.
yeah. Of course,
Yeah.
we knew you were from Nagpur because Anukash did
Yeah.
tell me. I thought you might have been
Uh,
brought up
I
elsewhere,
keep
but
on cracking
no, no.
jokes around oranges all the time whenever we continue.
Yeah, if we ever have a IPL team or an ISL team, it will be Nagpur Oranges, hopefully. And we have
I,
that yeah.
I almost thought Pushkar would say Nagpur Santres, so at least at least that was better. Nagpur Oranges still sounds better.
So this
Yeah,
we used to play these two classes. We made teams, and one time I kick with my right foot. So I was like, okay, I'm already super good at it. I scored a few goals from a little bit outside the box. When I was young, I
Oh.
was like, better at sports compared to now. So yeah, so I was
happens
like,
to all
you're
of us.
already good at this.
Yeah,
So I was already good at that. So I said to myself, okay, you should try something new. I started shooting with my left foot, and I kept
Right.
doing that for a month. Then I showed up for trials and shot with both my feet, scored like three odd goals, and that was the moment. And I was feeling like I was in. I could feel. So I went on to my coach and told him, okay, like, am I in? So I was like, no, you're not in yet. So show me something that no one else can do. And yeah, I think I scored a couple more. And after that, I was like, okay, if I don't get in now, they probably don't deserve me, because I was already captaining one of the school teams, and we had already won the district, and the
Oh,
one
wow.
after that, I don't remember what it's called, but we were going for the states, and I did not really care much. But yeah, I made it to the bench, sat on the bench for a couple of games, then I was cut off, never sent in. And yeah, that was the end of my football journey in terms of playing for official teams. But I've played a lot of five-a-side football since then. I still play. Had an MCL injury, but yeah. Okay, coming back to Unagi. Sorry, guys. The main the main story. So they did hire me. So I worked in social media and community management. We thankfully we have a great team. The culture is excellent. I have to work in a different time zone, which was challenging in the beginning, but I could not let that opportunity slip away just because of the fact that I had to work in a different time zone. So there are days I'm still working at 10:30 11 p.m. Indian standard time, and that's when we started recording this podcast, by the way, guys, because Dwai is a super busy guy, and we are all busy, but we are taking I'm thankful for them for taking time out for me. So yeah, it has been a fantastic journey, if I have to sum it up, in terms of the people I've had the chance to work with, who have come from gaming backgrounds that I could seriously not believe when I met them, and how humble they were with considering where they come from. And the same thing can be said about the clubs that I see we are working with. So it's like a complete out of the imagination thing for me. And they flew me to France for one of our meets, which was also super good, and it was super fun. That's when I had the chance to go to the San Siro for the first time, and yeah, that was a different feeling altogether. So you cannot match that feeling. No games, because it was winter break back then during the World Cup, the cup that Argentina won. So yeah, it has been a fantastic 2 years, and I'm still looking to show up for that final exam and get my degree. And finally, yeah, I will be able to say that I have one. So yeah, that's that.
Well, we had a school kid in one of our initial episodes. We have another one from college. So yeah, but yeah, honestly, Pushkar, it's a pretty incredible tale. Please don't mind if I was imagining me passing the ball to Doipan and Doipan, putting it on a platter for you to score a winner. So I was kind of imagining, because we keep on talking about a IFP 11. So I know who we are gonna have as a center forward now after listening to all these tales.
No,
I am
I'm a
I am
goalkeeper
convinced. I
now.
am sold. I am the goalkeeper. You cannot do that.
Yeah, yeah, I can be the. I can sit on the
Yeah.
bench. I'm used to it.
But
But
I
yeah,
mean, what interesting that you mentioned this, because at some point of time, what I also wanted to ask you is, uh, you mentioned how you have different time zones around it, around working with sports. For me, my journey of working with sports started pretty much the time when I left my dental school. So when you mentioned about dropping out, of course, even I had dropped out of the dental school where I and Anukarsh sir had met, and it's been almost 4.5 years now that I dropped out. No, in fact, it's been five and a
ज़्यादा
half
हो
years
गया,
because
5.5 years, yeah.
it was at the
Yeah.
beginning of 2019.
Though if I
So
says I was a bad senior, though I don't think I was. I think I was a
yeah, no,
helpful
of
one.
course
Yeah,
not,
the
Yeah.
of course
only
not.
conclusion is you guys are very old, but yeah. No, but
Yeah,
yeah, it does take a lot of courage to, just
yeah,
make that decision that okay, I don't want to do this, because you, it, sorry, at least in India, you base your whole life around, okay,
yeah,
this is the degree I'm going to get, this is the work I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
yeah,
And
absolutely.
thankfully nowadays with internet, you see, like, I'm assuming Anukash, you did end up becoming a dentist, but
yeah,
yeah, and yeah, you're still doing IFP, and I look at Dwight, who works so hard just to, we sit down and then we talk about football. So
yeah.
that's the fun part that we are able to realize with the geo internet that
Of course,
uh,
yeah,
we were blessed with. But yeah, super proud of you, Dwight, for making
yeah,
that decision, because you need to know where you don't belong. That's how you
yeah.
find where you do belong, right?
Absolutely. And just the fact that you mentioned about sports in general, I enjoy working in odd hours. You know, the last thing I want to do is wake up at 9 a.m., which I did
Yeah.
actually today morning when you met Aditi Chauhan. It was great though, but
Yeah.
that wasn't. But I'm just because
The only
I
9 to 5 we want to have.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So I do remember when I was with Sportskira Tennis for the US Open, I think which was 2022. Yeah, just before my
Hmm.
masters, and I enjoyed the fact that I was up all night. The US Open matches used to begin at around 8:30 p.m. IST. And I
Yeah.
remember their timing, it was 11 a.m. and it used to really go up till 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and there 11 p.m. in the evening. And I used to really, so for us, my social media coverage was about set updates, match updates, next match reviews, previews, just about that. So we had a graphic designer assigned, and at that time, even though I was not getting paid a lot, but I used to completely enjoy the fact that the whole world is sleeping and I'm doing what I love, you know. And it is
Yeah.
something, and it was never driven by money. Now of course we are looking
Yeah.
forward to, me and Anukash do talk about how to take the podcast forward, how to make, probably establish a bigger sporting group to incorporate other elements. But for us it is mainly to make it, of course we do want to make a business out of this, but it is also because we understand we stand at a position where we can really impact lives around us. And one of our podcast members is staying here tonight at my place. I've just asked him to move to the other room because we are recording this. But for us, the journey of this podcast has been trying to have a positive impact in people's lives. Since
Hmm.
we are limited to 80% of our work so far is just talking about football, people feel like IFP is like a home for people to come to and speak about football. And I'm sure even you, and UC and the entire Web3 platform is something that I feel the world will embrace 1.5 years, 2 years later on. But it's exciting to be working on something that people don't really understand right now. So Pushkar, about that, and I also want, and this is what I was just thinking, now that we had this discussion, I wanted a segment where I ask you about Indian football. Do you follow Indian football?
No, not very closely, but back when I spent some time living in Bengaluru, I was following BFC, and I
Yeah.
went to one of the games. Yeah, very
Okay.
beautiful, very amazing, and
Kantiwara
it's a
Stadium.
good feeling.
Was it there?
Yeah, yeah,
Kantiwara Stadium.
Kanpur.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have
Okay.
you been to Truffles?
No. I've
In like,
when too many people tell you about a place, just don't go there. That's
it's actually good though. It's actually good. That's one
like
of my
too
favorite
many
places.
United fans telling you about supporting the club. Just don't do it. So,
Then I guess you might have been to Toit maybe for a drink.
yeah,
Toit is a
right.
very, yeah.
Yeah, the
All right.
sad part is I might have been to every club you can name, but I haven't been to, the better sightseeing places. I spent around 4 months accumulating them together. I did a little bit of back and forth. One of the good parts about my job is I can travel along with it. I'm also leaving on Sunday morning for another holiday. So yeah,
Wow.
that's the good part. But yeah, coming back to Indian football, one of the things that I personally don't like is again the broadcast. So the
Yeah.
pre-match show, post-match show, I don't think the overall broadcast, looking at the graphics, not I'm not an expert in that, so I won't uh, categorize myself as the right judge for these. But I don't enjoy watching it because you see the players are giving it their 100%. There's
Yeah.
fun football, there's tactical football that you enjoy watching. But then once you turn on your TV or you turn on the stream, I just don't get that feeling that, okay, I want to sit down and watch this. And that's something that can be changed maybe with better marketing or, you know, better
You-
broadcasting.
Yeah.
But kudos to
Right.
what they've done so far. No one used to watch I League. uh, I'm assuming a few 100,000 people are watching the ISL. And then when you sit down and you see Mohun Bagan have made it to their Mohammedan FC recently have been promoted, there's East Bengal.
Mm.
So you need the traditional clubs, right? I'm not
Yeah.
going to sit down and support a team which was formed 5 years ago. No, sorry, that's not how football works. It's not cricket. Even in
Obviously,
cricket,
yes.
these franchisees are now 16 years old. That's how they've
Yeah.
accumulated all the fans, and they have added values to people's lives in the 2 months that it's played in. So yeah, I want to see a 20 team football league, at least half
Yeah.
of them being traditional club. I want to see Real Kashmir play in there. The new club, I think it's Inter Kashi,
Takashi.
which
Yeah. I was going to
yeah,
mention.
their away kit I think looks like this. So
Mm.
I want to see them in there, like some new, some old, some traditional. If you have the privilege of hosting the oldest club in Asia,
Yeah.
you should have them in the top flight. And it should have been always that way, having
Yeah.
Mohun Bagan East Bengal up there. Now there are three clubs from Kolkata, would have been four if ATK hadn't merged with Mohun Bagan. But yeah, that's where the hotspot is, man. Like
Yeah.
push it for bring back Churchill Brothers.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
why not do that? I want to see Gokulam Kerala in there. We want a Kerala derby. Who doesn't want that? Like Gokulam
Yeah.
playing KBFC.
Mm. Right.
Why do there has to be interstate derbies when there are two three teams from the same
Yeah.
state, same city?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The
So
fact that you
that's what
mentioned this.
makes it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Please go on.
No. So that's my limited knowledge of Indian football, right?
Yeah.
I know the
that's
smaller
more than a
clubs
lot
more than I
actually.
know.
I think a lot of people
I
don't
don't
even know
watch.
about that.
Yeah, I don't watch Mumbai City FC play. I'm not going to go to Al Hilal versus Mumbai City FC. Sorry, I'm not that kind of a fan.
Yeah.
So I am the kind who will find streams to watch St. Pauli get promoted from the second Bundesliga to the first Bundesliga because they have a
Yeah.
history. I'll
Yeah.
follow Union Berlin. I followed Union Berlin when they were in the second Bundesliga. Now they've done so well, and
Yeah.
I am like that fan. Now I was looking up Round Glass Punjab, or as they are called,
Yes.
Punjab FC, when they got promoted. And I think what the board should be doing, AIFF, is like I don't want to go into the controversial things, but just level the playing field. It's
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
make it.
you know, uh, I have one question to ask to Anukar sir, which is quite outside the script. Uh, Pushkar just mentioned a club,
अरे यार
uh,
तो इसकी
जिसके
बात हुई थी
प्रीवियस टीम में
स्टार्ट
अदिति चौहान. No, no. Uh,
हाँ
Pushkar mentioned like 10 clubs over the last couple of
हाँ
minutes, right?
yeah.
I mean, of course, in a good way. One of those teams के women's team में Aditi Chauhan had played. Do you want to guess which team?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can guess it's Gokulam Kerala,
Yeah,
because
it's
Oh,
they
Gokulam.
they have a super good women's
Women's
program.
team. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and of course, Anukash did briefly allude to our meeting with Aditi Chauhan in the morning. It was more about, and you mentioned about Indian football, which I also wanted to talk about when I was again, and I really think I should ask for a sponsorship to my master's college because I keep mentioning them all the time.
yeah,
They used
absolutely.
to, they taught us about a bottom up and a top to bottom, approach, right? And the solution to Indian football has to be a
I
bottom
hope
up.
YouTube doesn't ban
Yeah,
us for that. Like, here's the whole context of that.
you
Yeah.
never know, man.
Of course, that will be sad. But
Yeah.
so Indian football, I feel the solution, no matter what we do, the fruits or the good parts cannot be developed in the next 12 to 18 months. It
Yeah,
has to be like a 5 year journey. And ISL definitely, in many aspects, without, of course, I'll follow Pushkar steps and not go too much into the controversies. But in many ways, the business has not turned out the way it has been. Now
yeah,
the teams that now the groups, the conglomerates that are owning the teams are not backing out because now they're like इतना पैसा हमने खो ही दिया है, then अब बाहर आके हम क्या करें. So I keep having these discussions around people because we want to position ourselves as someone who wants to get more into Indian football, solve the problems, but of course it is easier said than done. But people also mention that probably one way to get Indian football into a better pedestal over the next 10 years is to pick out the system which exists, uproot it completely, have, like for example, the people who made Vision 2047, the main guy behind it is no more in the position where he was when he put out the entire vision thing. So it is
He
quite
is
interesting.
one of our guests on the podcast, upcoming guests. हम
Yeah,
भूल गए उसको बुलाना हाँ.
yeah, of
Shajit
course.
Prabhakaran.
Yeah,
हाँ.
yeah, Shadi Prabhakaran. And of course,
Yeah.
Pushkar, you mentioned Round Glass. You should definitely see our episode with Ranjit Bajaj and
Ranjit
how.
I've
Bajaj.
I've I've,
हाँ.
I've watched a
वो
little
तो
bit of it
powered by Ultimate
on
Champions भी है.
Instagram.
It was one of
Of
our. I
course.
think it was the
Yeah,
first episode to be
Yeah,
powered by
yeah.
Ultimate Champions.
That,
Yeah.
that that's the reason I've watched it, guys. Because I'm kidding. You guys
Pushkar was
have.
there. Pushkar was there collecting the sponsorship deliverables, mentioning that have we done it or not.
Ticking the boxes. Okay, yeah, they've mentioned this once.
Yeah.
There's the logo. Okay, circling it in the screenshot.
Yeah. He has
Yeah.
500K followers. I don't blame you.
You
Of
remember
course.
that reel you posted and sent me? Yeah, I circled that.
Yeah,
So, oh yeah, definitely. But I don't believe in uprooting the system,
yeah,
because
Yeah.
the thing is, the system just needs, a few things here and there. They're trying to do too many things.
yeah,
Because if I look at things from my lens, which is not an expert lens, I keep saying it again and again. I'm a fan. I like to watch games, but you can't be losing to Afghanistan.
yeah,
Let's put it
Uh,
mildly out there.
mm,
And I don't agree with, fans abusing. Okay, you have lost a game, it's okay, but from, from the board's point of view, this is what is out there right now,
yeah,
and look at it like that. Okay, we don't want to talk about what vision we have for 30
yeah,
years from now and this and that. Look at the position right now. You're not releasing players from ISL teams to go and play in the Asian games, which we
yeah,
could have performed well in. Right, we are not making it to the World Cup for a while.
yeah. Of
That's what
course.
I
mm,
personally believe. Because I
Yeah,
don't want to be heartbroken when I sit down and watch my nation play, losing to teams that we should ideally be beating, looking at how we do, in uh, aged divisions and things like that. And it's unfair to compare cricket with football. Firstly,
Absolutely.
they're two
Right.
very different sports. Cricket has made its own money. You can't blame cricket for football
Yeah,
not doing well,
of
right?
course. Of
Same
course.
goes for every other, sport. You can't compare hockey and football, and you can't compare anything with
Yeah.
football. Football is different, and it's okay to not go to the World Cup, right? Because we
Yeah.
are not putting in the hard yards in terms of management and everything around it. I see the players giving their 100%, but yeah, you need training camps, as Igor Stimac said. You need training camps,
Yeah.
you need these little things. So don't
Yeah.
uproot the system, just, you know look at things from a different lens maybe, and you never know, it works out. And grassroots programs, yeah, we need so many of those. If a
Absolutely.
kid, if a 5 6 year old kid wants to watch football, after looking at all the podcasts and everything, he or she still wants to play football, there's no way to do it. At least where I come from, I don't see a lot of clubs. I only know one club in my city, and it's a city which has more people in it than Munich and Paris. And tell me, how many
Yeah.
clubs do they have? And now
Absolutely.
don't tell
Right.
me, yeah, I don't want people to say in the comments, okay, how many cricket clubs does your city have? How many does Paris and Munich have? That's
Yeah.
not the comparison, right?
Yeah.
We are talking football, and it has
Yeah.
Right.
been here since before we became an independent country. It has
Of
always been here. We have done
Hmm.
incredibly well in some Olympic editions. We have won Asian Games gold. So don't look at it in that light. And yeah,
yeah.
it's a disappointing story when you look at Indian football. Yeah, sleeping giant. The giant seems like it's never going to wake up. So
I agree.
yeah,
I
the
think
giant
I think
the
I think
giant
I
has
was going to name this
like
episode as the giant that never seems to wake up.
it's like the giant who has had a like wild night out, and like it's sleeping
Refuses
throughout
to
the
wake
day,
up.
and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like, okay, it's 11 a.m. He should be waking up now. It's 12 already. It can be
Yeah.
any time now, but it's not going to happen until 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah, I mean, supporting Indian football, I mean, I agree that the players are giving their all, but with the administration, it's very difficult to support them and not get upset about them. It's like being in a toxic
yeah,
relationship for that matter. It's like that when
exactly.
you support uh, Indian football, because the thing is, there are so many things which are, wrong about it, some fundamentally wrong about it, that you just know that it's just heading towards a dead end. The AFC Asian Cup or championship, whatever we call it, I think that was a testament to how dire the whole state is, how problematic things are, because I mean, I could hardly remember a move in which we could string a proper pass
Yeah.
Yeah,
towards the goal, I think. And that was
yeah,
the biggest disappointment, 1.4 billion लोगों की population है, and this is happening. So of course, like, that's the state of affairs. And I mean, I do agree that of course cricket and football are very different, but there are some lessons that we can take from cricket in terms of how movements. And I know we have often talked about it, how movements have really changed things for the
Yeah.
country, how the 1983 World Cup was overall such a big step up. I mean, even for Sri Lanka, like, which is such a small nation for that matter, how a World Cup win under Ranatunga could really spark an island nation into being a good nation, being a very decent cricketing nation for a long time. And there are corollaries in the fan base also. I think cricket is learning from football that way. I mean, I would not have imagined an Indian cricketer like Hardik Pandya, whatever reasons, getting booed off throughout the IPL. I mean, I think I it reeks of football culture for that matter, because
Yeah.
that happens in football, no matter how good you are doing for a country for that matter. If you are, say a Liverpool player playing in front of Old Trafford supporters, or like, say, even now in front of Manchester City, you are gonna get booed for every little thing you do. And I
Absolutely.
think the football fan culture is getting into it. So I think football also needs to learn some lessons out of cricket for that matter. Just my personal opinion on the state of affairs.
yeah. I think
Absolutely.
your girlfriend would like to know how you know a toxic relationship works.
नहीं
So
नहीं नहीं she
I'm not going to comment
I
on
have
that.
heard it from
Yeah, I'll
friends.
leave it to
I
her.
am very happy in my
Yeah, yeah, just
All
saving
right.
yourself there.
yeah
But
I
yeah,
mean, of
yeah,
course, we are nearing an hour mark, and of course, Pushkar, you, of course, I'm sure we are very happy that you have taken out this time. But I think I just cut you out on something, so you can please
no,
complete what
no,
you
no.
said.
I was just agreeing with what Anukash said.
Yeah,
Cricket has a lot to offer to football in India.
yeah,
Hmm.
They are not enemies. They are not competing. The same people can watch both, right? And
of
just
course.
make adjustments and timings. At least I think there's three of us who will. So,
Yes.
Anukarsh supports RCB, so he'll pick a football team of his like
CSK
that.
CSK CSK
Nahin, nahin, CSK is to show people, okay, I support CSK, but at heart he's like RCB. But yeah, coming back to the main point, if you look closely on how cricket has evolved,
Yeah,
especially domestic cricket, and in domestic cricket I'm talking about IPL, let's not call it cricket, how IPL has evolved over
yeah,
the years and how it's projected to evolve. Do we not see IPL becoming a year long league with 15, 20 teams? I do see that.
even
Not
I
in
see
the
that.
near
Yeah,
future, but long term.
absolutely.
I personally don't enjoy watching a
ODIs.
series.
Yeah,
ODIs, I've never enjoyed. And
yeah,
I come from an era where T20 did not exist.
yeah,
So ODIs I've never enjoyed watching. Test cricket, I love it, but yeah, I think what T20 offers is a global stage. So, same
yeah,
in terms of football, I think one thing that you know for sure, you don't have to experiment with the format, right? You only need to bring in good talent, and the rest happens. Just take care of broadcasting. Fans are showing up in the stadiums. I think we've all seen clips of how passionate KBFC fans are, how full the
right
stadiums have been. You see the
yeah,
Kolkata derby, right? Dwight?
yeah,
You
absolutely.
see the Kolkata derby being like full. I had tickets to the last one, I could not go. And that's
Ah,
a dream derby you want to go to, right?
you don't want to miss
Considering
it. Yeah,
how risky
yeah
it is, and people tell you, okay, go with someone you know. And I was genuinely told this. So that's my point. There is everything. You just need to build the hype around it. And it
yeah,
will happen. It will happen.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Uh,
hopefully it happens soon.
Yeah, thank you, Pushkar, for taking out the time. Anukar sir, I think this was long due, and the kind of
yeah
camaraderie we were able to strike right from the opening minute to what seems like an hour's mark now, which is which is one of our longest episodes. I think only one
yeah
episode before this has reached the hour mark. So you are in your first appearance, you have become the top 2% in IFP's guest list, especially if you consider the duration. So, of course, I'm not surprised that has happened. Anukar sir, quite an episode. We spoke about cricket, we spoke about basketball, we spoke about Europe, we spoke about so many other things. Entertaining for all our listeners,
now
right?
we can speak about Pushkar about the hidden charges for doing this episode after this is done.
Okay, yeah, here's the QR code. Put it
Yeah,
right here.
नहीं but
Guys,
jokes apart
scan it and
Pushkar
pay for me.
it has been a pleasure having you. I think I have missed because I think this sort of camaraderie we had in our
yeah,
initial episodes because we used to have people who were we knew more often,
yeah,
people who we had more conversations at length with. So it's great having you here, and I think I have really missed this sort of segment. I think it's been a while since we
yeah,
have had a football fan
absolutely.
being all out, giving his heart out and with his opinions. So yeah, it's great having you here. I think more than anything, more than the person we have worked with, me and Doipan, we have always appreciated the man behind it all. And like every time you have told me a story about today, like there's always something new to learn. Even when I remember when you were telling me about how you met with your girlfriend, I think even that was some story which I really enjoyed because every time I see a new side of you, which really amazes me. So I think I'm pretty amazed and honestly very I feel very lucky that we can be a part of these conversations through the podcast, me and Doipan. I think that's
Yeah,
one of the very big reasons we do it at 12:30 a.m. in the night. So yeah, thank you, Pushkar, for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure, and
yeah.
no, we won't charge you at least until the record segment is being recorded.
Thank you, Pushkar. Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you so much,
Yeah,
guys, and I hope these guys shoot way a lot more episodes like these for you
Yeah.
guys, and they work really hard. So do subscribe, like it, share it with your friends,
Yes.
and if you want to come to the podcast or sponsor it, please contact one of these two,
Yeah.
and they'll take care of it. They are very fun people to work with, so 1% club Sharon, if you're watching this, yeah, they can also give financial advice. So yeah, anyone who wants
Mhm.
to
Of course.
come support indie
Yeah.
football podcast, yeah, hop on the train and we'll give you a great experience.
I'm just so
Thank
happy
you.
Pushkar has done my part for the end of it. Thank you, guys.
या तो अभी मैं सोच रहा था पहले दो ही पावर्ड बाय अल्टीमेट चैंपियंस बोलता था अभी पुष्कर था तो अगर होती स्पॉन्सरशिप तो पुष्कर वुड हैव सेड इट बिकॉज़ वी ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू फॉरगेट इट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स हम रिकॉर्ड करके फिर से
Yeah,
ऐड
yeah.
करके डालते
Sign up to Ultimate Champions, guys. It's a super good
यस
fantasy football game. Also, the last part, and yeah, the most important probably for me. So, Onagi has come up with. They will be launching a game for the Euro 2024, and sign up with your friends. Play in the tournaments. It has a mega prize pool of, I cannot reveal now, so it has a mega price pool that you can check out on our Twitter. Go to Ultimate Champions. It's Ulti Champs on Twitter. Same on Instagram. Follow us. Follow the Indie Football Podcast. Play our game. Subscribe to
Of
them
course.
and sponsor them, please, because they are
Yes.
super dope.
Yeah. Thank you.
थैंक यू
Thank you, everyone.
थैंक
Take
यू
care. Good night.